I'm sure we've all heard the name Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling before. We know and love her as the famous young adult fiction author, but would you have guessed that when she was younger, not a lot of people believed that she had what it takes to become an author? J.K. Rowling was born in Chipping, Sodbury, July 31st, 1965. J.K. Rowling was oftentimes, when she was younger, teased for her name, and she never really got used to it and never really just owned her name. She never really enjoyed it, but she knew from a young age she always had kind of a thing for the name Potter, which is ironic now to us, but at the time she didn't really know it was going to turn into something as big as it did. And also around the age of 6 was when Rowling realized that she liked to write and that she wanted to be an author. When she was 6 years old, she published a book about a rabbit that had measles. She didn't publish it, but she gave it to her mom, and her mom read it and was like, "That's really good, honey." And she went up to her mom and was like, "Yeah, we should have it published." And her mom kind of like took a step back and was like, "It's good," but she just said she thought that was kind of an odd thing for a 6-year-old to say, something that most 6-year-olds wouldn't think about. And in an autobiography that J.K. Rowling wrote about herself, she talks about how she had a friend named Sean, and how he was the only one that really ever truly believed in her, and he was the one that kind of gave her the confidence to keep writing and pushed her and was like, "No, you're really good at this." And she says, "He was also the only person who thought I was bound to be a success at it, which meant much more to me than I ever told him at the time." So Sean was kind of like a big influence in her life, and without him, it's possible that she would have never given us all the books that she has, including Harry Potter, which is read around the world. Rowling graduated and began to try a bunch of different jobs in London. She went to university there and then graduated, and still really hadn't taken off writing books yet, so she was just kind of trying a bunch of different jobs. And she was on a train one night, and the train was delayed, it wasn't moving, and she was stuck in the same spot for hours. And that's where she started to develop the idea for Harry Potter. She knew she wanted to write a book that revolved around a young boy, and at the time she didn't know that he was going to be a wizard, and she just slowly started developing the characters, and she kind of got their names and what they were like, and just did all this on the train. And funny story about that is she wanted to write it all down, but she didn't have a pen, and J.K. Rowling is very shy, and so instead of asking for a pen from someone, she just kept it all in her head. She was too shy to ask someone to borrow a pen so she could write down the ideas for Harry Potter. So it's a really good thing that she has a good memory. But then in that same year that she developed the plot for Harry Potter, she actually lost her mom. Her mom died in that same year, 1990, and it actually gave her some of the inspiration for the books. And if you've seen Harry Potter, you know that his parents die, and so that was kind of inspiration there from her mom that she put into her books, which is kind of really cool. And then so from then she began writing the first book, and actually at first it wasn't the Sorcerer's Stone, which it is now, but it was actually called the Philosopher's Stone, which it doesn't have such a ring to it, but you know, it was a rough draft. And so this book actually got denied by 12 major publishers, and before she found a little one that would finally take the book. And within the first week of the book being published, it just skyrocketed. People were falling in love with this book and of Harry Potter. And in 1996, the book took off, it was published, and then by 1998, the Warner Brothers already secured all the film rights of Harry Potter to produce all the movies that would come. And then in 2006, J.K. Rowling finished the last book of the Harry Potter series. Why J.K. Rowling is super important is because she is a woman author that gets a lot of credit for being a really good writer, and she inspires women that just because you're a girl doesn't mean you can't do what the men do and be just as good, if not better, at it. And what I really found out and love about J.K. Rowling is that she makes a lot of money. I mean, she came up with Harry Potter, and it's a huge franchise, but she gives so much money back to charity, which I think is amazing. She's the founder and president of the International Children's Nonprofit Organization. So she has a bunch of charities listed on her website that she gives to, and I think it's awesome when someone runs into a lot of fame and fortune and they choose to give that back to society. So J.K. Rowling is a huge inspiration to not only me, but I think to women around the world. And I think it's just a good message that just because you're a girl doesn't mean you can't do anything a guy can, if not better.